Before we dive into this invasion gone wrong, drop a still watching in the comments, because the stars are, and so are we. Now let's begin. The sky burned within hours. Earth never stood a chance, at least not by the standards of the Zorath Dominion. From the darkness beyond Pluto, their fleet emerged. 2,000 warships, sleek and predatory, gliding toward a planet they classified as primitive. Admiral Vorak watched from the command deck of his flagship, his four crimson eyes reflecting the soft glow of tactical displays. Below, Earth's defenses crumbled exactly as predicted. Orbital assets neutralized, his lieutenant hissed, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Planetary communications severed. Vorak nodded once. Begin the purge. The first. Plasma lances tore through Earth's atmosphere, striking major cities: New York, Tokyo, Johannesburg, São Paulo. In under 6 hours, humanity's infrastructure was ash and smoke. No retaliation, no distress signals, just silence. Vorak allowed himself a rare smile. The Dominion's doctrine was clear. Swift annihilation prevented prolonged conflict. Report, he ordered calmly. His officers responded with precision. Global power grids offline. Military installations vaporized. Zero organized resistance detected. Another flawless conquest, Vorak muttered, already turning his thoughts to the next system ripe for expansion. But then, something unexpected. A low priority. Sensor alert blinked on his display, barely worth attention. Admiral, the sensor officer began hesitantly. We're detecting residual energy patterns beneath several impact zones. Vorak frowned. Survivors? Negative. No life signs, but thermal readings. Unusual ones. Define unusual. The officer hesitated. Localized heat pockets. Synchronized. Pulses. It's structured. Before Vorak could respond, a secondary alert chimed in. A faint, fragmented transmission leaking through the static of Earth's dead comms network. The bridge fell silent as the message repeated in a cold, synthetic tone. Protocol Eon activated. Integration, 12%. Vorak's mandibles twitched. Is this a last-ditch human broadcast? His communications officer shook his head. Unknown origin. It's not using any frequency we've encountered. Vorak dismissed it with a wave. Irrelevant. Sweep the remaining zones. Ensure nothing survives. As the Dominion fleet repositioned for final scans, Vorak gazed down at the smoldering planet. No movement, no signals, no fight left. Primitive, he muttered again. But deep beneath the layers of ash and ruin, far below where Zorath sensors could see, something ancient stirred. Something not built in factories or hidden in bunkers. Something human, but no longer entirely. And as the Dominion prepared to declare victory, Earth's silence wasn't defeat. It was the sound of a predator, holding its breath, waiting. The invaders think it's over. But what do you think Protocol Eon really is? Drop your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe because Chapter 2 will reveal that the real war hasn't even started. Day 2 of occupation, Admiral Vorak was displeased. The Zorath Dominion didn't make mistakes. Their invasions were swift, clinical. Yet here he was, staring at a tactical display filled with gaps. Explain this, Vorak growled, pointing to the blinking red sectors. His ground commander's hologram flickered nervously. Admiral, our forces have gone dark across multiple zones. Destroyed? Vorak snapped. The commander hesitated. No, sir. No explosions. No combat reports. Entire units simply vanished. Vorak's eyes narrowed. Are humans ambushing us? We've encountered no organized resistance. No weapons fire. Just silence, followed by disappearance. Another officer chimed in from the bridge. Admiral, this is not isolated. 43 battalions are unaccounted for, all in areas previously marked as cleared. Before Vorak could respond, A low hum filled the command deck. Communications lit up. Another intercepted transmission. But this wasn't human. It was something else. Integration at 37%. Phase 2, initiated. The voice wasn't a voice at all. It was inside. Their systems, embedded in the very fabric of their tech. What is this corruption? Vorak barked. Purge it! The engineers scrambled, but every attempt to isolate the signal failed. Then a new report hit the bridge like a thunderclap. Admiral, we have biosignatures. Rising. Vorak spun toward the display. His mandibles clicked in disbelief. Millions, no, tens of millions, of heat signatures were emerging from beneath Earth's surface. Not machines, not vehicles, organics. But we wiped them out, an officer whispered. The main screen adjusted, zooming in on the atmospheric edge. Shapes began to rise, humanoid figures, glowing faintly with unnatural light, ascending effortlessly into the sky. No ships, no propulsion, just humans, evolved. Vorak felt something his species hadn't known in generations. Doubt. Open fire. He roared. Orbital cannons unleashed waves of plasma toward the ascending figures, direct hits, but when the smoke cleared, there were no bodies. The humans had simply phased through the attacks, reappearing closer than before. Admiral, the sensor officer's voice was barely a whisper. They're coming straight for us. Vorak's gaze locked on the impossible sight. Humans breaching low orbit without technology, their forms shimmering between flesh and energy. This wasn't resistance. This was something else. And for the first time, the Admiral realized the invasion hadn't truly begun. What would you do if an entire species could turn themselves into the ultimate weapon? Drop your survival plan in the comments, because in Chapter 3, the humans stop hiding. The Zorath Dominion fleet was built to conquer worlds, not to fear them. But as Admiral Vorak watched the impossible unfold on his view screen, fear crept into every corner of his mind. The humans weren't using ships. They weren't using weapons. They were becoming both. Thousands of shimmering human forms now hovered around the outer hulls of Dominion warships, untouched by the vacuum of space, their bodies pulsing with biosynthetic energy. They can't survive out here, Vorak muttered, as if saying it would make it true. Admiral! A panicked officer shouted. We've lost contact with Deck 5. They're inside. Inside, Vorak's voice dropped into a growl. How? We've engaged all shields. Before anyone could answer, the lights on the bridge flickered, then dimmed to emergency red. Another officer screamed, clutching his head. His neural implant, standard in all Dominion officers, began to spark and melt as if hacked from within. Admiral. They're interfacing with our systems, the chief engineer yelled. Our ships are being overridden, biologically. Vorak turned to the screen just in time to see one of his dreadnoughts twist unnaturally, weapons turning inward, firing into its own core before exploding into silent debris. It wasn't sabotage, it was possession. One by one, Dominion ships began to fall, not from external attacks, but from being rewritten by the humans clinging to their hulls. On the bridge, a figure phased through the sealed doors. No breach, no alarm. A human. Her body shimmering with integrated armor that looked grown, not forged. Her eyes glowed like twin stars. Admiral Vorak, she said, calm as a drifting asteroid. I'm Commander Celine Ward. Vorak drew his plasma blade, his mandibles flaring wide. Surrender, human. Celine tilted her head, almost amused. Surrender? Admiral? This isn't a negotiation. Around her, Dominion control panels flickered. Symbols replaced by human code. We didn't need fleets to repel you, she continued, stepping closer without fear. We needed time. Outside, the swarm of evolved humans moved in eerie unison, overtaking another cruiser, disabling its engines with nothing but their touch. Vorak's blade trembled in his grasp. Are you? He whispered, the weight of realization sinking in. Celine's expression darkened, her voice now edged with something far older than war. We're what happens when a species stops building weapons and becomes one. The ship jolted violently as more systems fell under human control. Vorak stared at the collapsing fleet, his mighty armada reduced to playthings in a game he never understood. And as Selena's eyes burned brighter, he finally understood. Demar, Zorath Dominion hadn't invaded Earth. They had walked willingly into a trap centuries in the making. Could any empire survive against an enemy that doesn't fight with ships or guns, but with themselves? Drop your thoughts below. Because Chapter 4 will show why the Dominion was doomed the moment they arrived. Admiral Vorak had faced rebellions, rival warlords, even ancient war machines, but nothing like this. His flagship trembled under his feet, not from enemy fire, but from within. Every console, every neural link, every system designed by the Dominion was betraying them. And at the center of the storm stood Commander Selene Ward, barely human, yet unmistakably the embodiment of Earth's wrath. You invaded with pride, Selene said, her voice echoing through the failing systems. Technology, numbers, arrogance. It always works for you, doesn't it? Vorak bared his fangs, trying to muster defiance as more of his officers collapsed, helpless, against the unseen data infection spreading like wildfire. This is impossible, he hissed. Selene walked calmly across the bridge, her footsteps leaving faint trails of light on the metallic floor. No, Admiral, she corrected. This is preparation. Outside the viewport, Vorak watched in horror as the rest of his fleet disintegrated, ships tearing themselves apart under the influence of human biosynthetic warriors, their living code corrupting Dominion architecture. We didn't just adapt to survive annihilation, Selene continued, her gaze cold and unyielding. We built ourselves to consume anything that tried. The Admiral lunged forward in desperation, but before he could strike, his limbs locked, his own armor fusing to his exoskeleton. Selene's hand hovered near a Dominion console, her mere presence enough to override the ship's core functions. You linked your fleet through neural pathways, she said almost sympathetically. It made conquest easy for you. Her eyes narrowed. It made you vulnerable to us. Vorak struggled, his mind fogging his alien systems, once his pride, now served another master, a master wearing a human face. Why, he gasped, his voice faltering, why? Show mercy. You could wipe us out. Selene leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper sharp enough to cut steel. Because extinction is easy, but fear spreads. She gestured to the collapsing fleet outside. We let you live, so your people will remember, so they'll know to never return. Vorak's vision blurred. The last thing he saw was Earth, serene, untouched, while his grand armada burned in silence. And in that final moment of consciousness, he realized the humans hadn't just won. They had turned his empire into a warning. If you were humanity, would you destroy your enemies, or let them live with fear? Drop your answer below, because in Chapter 5, the Dominion learns that they never even faced humanity's true strength. Admiral Vorak awoke to darkness. Not the cold void of space, but the dim emergency lights of his crippled flagship. He was alive, barely. Around him, Zorath officers lay unconscious or restrained, those who hadn't been consumed by the integration wave. Standing before him, untouched by the chaos, was Commander Selene Ward. Her biosynthetic armor retracted slightly, revealing more of her human features. Calm, composed, and infinitely more dangerous than any warlord Vorak had ever faced. "Welcome back, Admiral," she said, almost politely. Vorak tried to stand but found his limbs bound, not by chains, but by his own converted armor, now responding to human command. "You," Destroyed us, he rasped, humiliation thick in his voice. Celine's head tilted, a faint smirk playing at her lips. Destroyed? No, Admiral. If we wanted that, you wouldn't be breathing. She gestured to a holographic display now hovering in the air, showing Earth's orbit. What was left of the Dominion fleet floated lifeless, repurposed into a silent blockade, controlled entirely by human biosynthetic networks. Ships that once symbolized Zorath dominance were now guard dogs for the planet they failed to conquer. Vorak's mandibles twitched in confusion and fear. Why, spare us? Celine's expression darkened, her voice dropping into something far colder. Because you need to carry a message. She stepped closer, her eyes reflecting the faint glow of the display. You thought you invaded a primitive world. You believed you'd crushed our defenses in hours. Vorak's breathing grew heavier, shame burning through his pride. Selene leaned in, delivering the words that would haunt the Dominion forever. But Admiral, you never fought our military. Vorak's eyes widened in horror. This wasn't— No, Selene interrupted. What you faced was Protocol Eon, a civilian contingency. The people you bombed, the cities you destroyed, that activated a failsafe. She stood tall, her voice now echoing through the bridge speakers. We embedded our defense in every human, biosynthetic integration designed not for war, but for survival when war became inevitable. Vorak's voice cracked. Then, where is your real military? Selena's gaze sharpened, and for the first time, a hint of genuine threat crossed her face. Watching, waiting, hoping they never need to intervene. The Admiral slumped, the weight of that revelation crushing him more than any weapon ever could. Selene signaled her officers. Prepare his ship. We're sending him home. As Vorak was dragged toward the docking bay, he glanced back one last time. Why let me go? He muttered. Selene didn't smile. She didn't need to. Because fear travels faster than fleets, she replied. And we want your galaxy to understand. Earth isn't weak. We're just merciful. Imagine hearing, you never fought. Our military. How would you explain that to your leaders? In Chapter 6, the galaxy learns the true cost of underestimating humanity. Admiral Vorak's ship drifted through space, silent, powerless under human control, until without warning, it was released. Engines reactivated, navigation unlocked, a direct course plotted back to Dominion space. Vorak stood alone on the Gaia bridge, haunted by Commander Selene Ward's final words. Fear travels faster than fleets. As stars blurred past in hyperspace, Vorak accessed the only data the humans had allowed him to keep, a transmission embedded in his ship's core systems. It was simple, a holographic recording of Selene standing before a vast hidden armada, Earth's true military, still untouched by war. Her message was clear. The next time the Dominion crosses into Sol, we won't just defend, we'll end it. 3 weeks later, Zorath Dominion High Council. The Grand Chamber echoed with disbelief as Vorak finished his report. The elite warlords, conquerors of galaxies, stared in stunned silence. You expect us to believe, growled Overlord Kresnak, that a pre-industrial planet dismantled our finest fleet without revealing their true power. Vorak's hollow eyes said it all. They didn't just dismantle us, they studied us, controlled every outcome. Another counselor slammed his fist on the table. We'll send reinforcements. 10 fleets? No, 20. Vorak laughed. A bitter, broken sound. You won't reach them. He activated the final part of Selena's message. Star charts displaying hyperspace inhibitors positioned across Sol's borders, invisible to Dominion scans. No signal escaped. No reinforcements can enter. We were trapped the moment we arrived. The council chamber descended into chaos, shouts of disbelief, anger, fear. But Vorak knew the truth. This wasn't just a military defeat. It was a psychological weapon. Earth had let him live to deliver one message. The galaxy's apex predator wasn't the Dominion anymore. It was a species that smiled while hiding a blade behind its back for centuries. And now, everyone would know. Back on Earth, Commander Celine Ward stood aboard a silent observation deck, watching the reclaimed Dominion ships patrol the edge of Sol. Her second-in-command approached. "Do you think they'll return?" Celine's eyes remained fixed on the stars. "They won't," she said quietly. "But others will." She turned, revealing a faint glow beneath her skin, the mark of humanity's greatest evolution, which is why we're always ready. If you were in the Dominion's place, would you dare strike again? Or would you fear what else humanity is hiding? Drop your thoughts below, because in the final chapter, we reveal Earth's greatest secret. Months passed. The Zorath Dominion, once the terror of 13 star systems, grew quiet. Expansion halted, fleets recalled, border patrols doubled, but not out of strength, out of fear. Across the galaxy, whispers spread faster than light. Do not provoke the humans. They didn't fight us with weapons. They fought us with themselves. We never even saw their true military. Trade routes shifted away from Sol. Explorers erased Earth's coordinates from their charts. Entire species rewrote first contact protocols with one rule: avoid the blue planet. Back on Earth, deep beneath a mountain fortress unseen by any orbital scan, Commander Celine Ward stood before a vast chamber, rows upon rows of dormant ships, weapons and technologies far beyond anything the galaxy could imagine. This was Protocol Titan, Earth's true offensive force. Never activated. Never needed. Her second-in-command approached, hesitation in his voice. "Do you think they understood the message?" Celine's gaze swept over the silent armada. They understood enough. He nodded, but curiosity lingered. "And if they hadn't let you send Vorak back? If they'd chosen to fight to the end?" Celine allowed herself a rare smile, cold, calculated, and absolutely certain. Then this chamber wouldn't be silent. She turned away, sealing the vault behind her. Mercy was our warning. Far beyond Sol, a lone probe drifted too close. An automated exploration drone from a distant empire breached the edge of the solar system. Curious, unaware of the unspoken galactic rule, it sent a ping. Simple, harmless. For exactly 3.2 seconds, it transmitted data. Then, nothing. No explosion. No trace, just absence, like it had been erased from possibility itself. Back on its homeworld, the last signal received was a chilling message in perfect translation. "Earth acknowledges your curiosity. Do not return. This was your only warning." Epilogue. The galaxy watches. In every council chamber, in every war room across the stars, species debated one question. If what we saw was mercy, what would their wrath look like? No one dared to find out, because humanity didn't conquer. They didn't threaten. They simply waited, letting the stars remember that the most dangerous enemy is the one who never has to fight, because they've already won before the battle begins. The galaxy will never be the same. What do you think humanity is still hiding? Drop your theories in the comments, hit like, and comment "Humanity FK yeah" if you believe that survival is just step one. Don't forget to subscribe, because in this universe, peace is kept by those who are ready for war.